Hey there. Are you learning English in order to get a job? Do you know what jobs are out there? What kind of jobs require English? Well, today we're going to talk about two jobs that you might not have considered when you started to acquire English in order to use your language in a job.
English Without Fear, where you can learn to speak English naturally through listening to stories.
Have you ever thought about commercial pilots? You know, those pilots that fly the big jets and take us to various places? Commercial pilots and air traffic controllers. They're the people at an airport in a high tower that direct pilots and airplanes to land and take off safely without crashing into one another. What languages do pilots and air traffic controllers have to speak? They all have to speak English, but the kind of English they have to speak is particular, is special to their job, to their occupation. It is called aviation English. Aviation has to do with flying. And the proficiency test that they have to prepare for is very particular. It's very special. I looked up what they have to know and what level they have to be. So three skill sets. Comprehension. They have to be able to understand English through various accents and dialects, not just American English or Australian English or British English. They have to be skilled at communicating. They have to be able to communicate important information really clearly, especially when there is an emergency. We are talking about life and death. So comprehension, they have to understand. Communication, they have to transfer information and knowledge to other people adequately. And radio communications, that is because talking over a radio can be very different than talking face-to-face or on a phone. Radio communication has certain specific established or set expressions, and you have to be able to understand them even when there is like noise, that crackling noise. It's called radio interference. You have to be able to manage radio communications. So how do you get tested? How is your proficiency measured? There are 6 areas, and the evaluation scale is from 1, low, to 6. And you have to get a 4 in each of the 6 areas. Number 1, pronunciation. You have to speak English well enough so people understand. Structure. You have to be able to use grammatical structures and sentence patterns correctly. You have to have good vocabulary and be able to use words correctly. You have to have a degree or level of fluency. That means your speech flows, not a lot of pauses. Comprehension. You have to understand and figure out, make sense of what you hear. And interactions, how well you respond in a conversation. This can include clarifying, like trying to get more information so you understand, or confirming, is this correct what you're saying? That kind of interaction is important. And you have to reach a 4 in each of those levels. What I found interesting is that air traffic controllers all over the world may use the language of their own country where they are working. But if they hear a pilot who starts speaking English, they immediately have to switch to English. For example, in Spain, air traffic controllers may speak Spanish with Spanish-speaking pilots. But when they hear a pilot speak in English, contact them in English, they have to be able to switch. I thought that sounded fair. Well, what's the other job I'm thinking of? You might be surprised at this one. Have you ever considered becoming an English teacher yourself for second language learners of English? Yes, you. I think it's a false belief that only native speakers of English should teach English. No. Just because somebody is a native speaker of a language does not make them a good teacher. Not at all. I'll give you examples of 3 people I know who are not native speakers of the language they teach, and they are doing very well. The first one is a man from Colombia who teaches English. I don't know him, but one of my good friends, Tere, who speaks excellent English, she's always trying to improve her English. So she has paid for an hour with him 3 times a week to help her English, and it really has helped. He's Colombian, but he's excellent at English. The other is somebody I follow, 2 people I follow. The first is a gal named Maria, my name. She's Russian, and she moved to Germany in 2007, not speaking any German. And she learned German, and she speaks beautiful German. I am so impressed. And she teaches German through online courses on YouTube, video courses. Very impressive. The other person is a British gal named Katie, and she and her partner, Matteo, they run the Easy Italian Joy of Languages YouTube channels. And she is a great Italian teacher because she knows what it's like to have learned Italian and not been good at it. She failed her first course at university in England, failed Italian 101 because it was boring grammar and she was lazy. But she moved to Italy and she does really well. And her courses are perfect because she'll say, this is how I was helped. Do this, think of this, and it'll help you with the Italian. So those are 2 possibilities: a job in the aviation field, pilot or air traffic controller, or teaching English. Yes, because you know what it's like to struggle. You know what helped you as a learner, and that will make you a good teacher, perhaps. I taught French for 27 years. I am not a native speaker. But what really helped me was when I started learning Spanish, because then I knew what it was like to learn another language. I had learned French so long ago I had forgotten what it was like. So, what are other jobs you are thinking about, hoping to reach a level in English that you can use your English. I'd be curious. Leave me a message below on this YouTube channel, what you are aiming for, what you're trying to do. Well, that's it for this episode. I'm Maria from English Without Fear. Talk to you next time.